In the face of making major decisions in our life, all of us have experienced at some time or other what is known as cold feet. That can come with the classic of getting married. For myself, it's come a couple of times when I made major changes within career. And it's kind of that moment anxiety of, am I doing the same thing? And it gives you pause to hesitate and tend to pull back. Joe, you once told me an inspiring story of a young lady named Christine who really had the ability to face the fears or cold feet and just continue with life.
Yeah, she was way past cold feet. When I had met Christine, first of all, she had terminal cancer. And they'd given her 2 years to live. And when I had met her, she was already past the 2-year point. You know, in that period they call borrowed time, right?
Yeah.
And had already moved beyond any fear of death that she had. And, you know, was very comfortable in her own skin, very comfortable and accepting of her situation. So I felt free to ask her just a very pointed question. And I asked her, I said, Christine, what's it like for you to wake up every morning knowing like you are this close to the end? And she said, well, I got a question for you first. I said, yeah, go ahead. And she said, what's it like for you waking up every morning pretending you're not? And what she got was that all you have is now. And she used this pending event called death as a reason to keep living. You know, all her focus was on what she wanted her life to be like with the time that she had left.
Yeah.
Right. Now bring that back into business. Let's say you're talking to someone who's looking at a franchise and you know they're stopped and they're afraid and cold feet's kicking in. Like, what do you say?
Well, first let me come back to Christine, because what Christine had the ability to do was to stay focused on her goals
Right.
of living a quality life,
Right.
even though she knew that was limited. She didn't
Right.
let that depress her. She didn't let that pull her off of her goals.
Very positive sense of urgency. Yeah.
So what I would suggest to anybody looking at a business is anticipate that you will have cold feet because it's a major decision
Right.
in your life. But at the same time, focus on your goals. And those goals should be so inspiring in your life that they will overcome any of the obstacles that you have to face.
Right. That they're actually bigger than the obstacles. Let me give you an example of that so people understand what we mean when we're saying inspiring. So I had a friend, Ken, who had one of those jobs that frequently took him out of town. So he actually spent about 75% of the nights in hotels and away from home. And he had a 2-year-old son, and one day he had told me he'd come home from after a long extended business trip. He puts the key in the door, he opens it up, and his son's standing there, and he just wants to give his son a hug, and the son sees him in the doorway and gets scared and runs behind him, his mother, to protect him from the stranger that just broke into the house. And my friend made a decision in that moment: I will not raise children that do not know who I am. Okay. Inspiring. So anything that came next, any obstacle, any hurdle, whether it was in the environment or self-created, it was a lot smaller than not having kids not knowing who he was.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've met Ken.
Right.
I know Ken. And he chose to go into his own business.
Exactly, right.
And in that case, that goal of being with his kids was so inspiring that some of the obstacles, such as how am I going to achieve the income level I did before, I'm changing jobs, he could overcome all of those.
Through maximum effort. Right. Yeah.
Reminds me of Viktor Frankl,
Right.
an author that both of us like a lot.
Yeah. Man's Search for Meaning. Concentration Camp Survivor.
Yeah. In the book, he mentions that in the absence of what he would call a worthy goal,
Right.
people will tend to conform or to submit.
Can you relate that and give some business examples?
Yeah, so if you put it in the context of you who are considering opening your own business, what the conformity looks like is going back to where you were. It's the same old, same old. It's what the accountant said, why do you want to risk some money? It's what your friend said. You have a steady job, a good income. Why do you want to do
Right.
something different? So you pull yourself back and you go back to the same old routine.
Right.
The submission is basically a submission to authority most of the time. And on a job, what that would look like is that you start to abide by what is said and try not to be unhappy with it.
Right.
So if you have kids and you want to be at their events and the boss says, sorry, you still work till 6 o'clock, you basically suck it up and follow through with it.
It's keep your head down.
Sure,
Okay, do what you're
and
told. Path of least
Work
resistance.
the weekends, work
Right.
overtime, attend spontaneous meetings, even though they create upset for you. So in the absence of the conformity and the submission, focus on my ability to choose something that will modify those issues, and it has to be a goal that totally inspires me to move forward.
What we want you to remember is your life, your career, it's not a dress rehearsal. Like, this is it. You're either going to take action on those goals that you say you want to achieve, or you're actually going to design a life which will guarantee that whatever you say you want will not occur. Now, one action you could take is contact the franchisor representative. Let them know what your goals are and what you want your life and what you want your career to look like. And they will help you determine how those goals could be met using the franchise as a vehicle.